Alright, Star Wars fans, there's rumors starting to circulate from what some sites say is an unreliable source, so take all of this with a large, healthy pinch of salt. But rumors are circulating that in The Mandalorian Season 3 and /or some of the other shows associated with the Mandalorian timeline, we're going to be seeing a new Sith. Now, this might be a little strange considering what we know of the Star Wars canon so far, that being that the original trilogy of movies happens with the Battle of Endor and the destruction of the Death Star. In Return of the Jedi, we see the death of both Darth Vader and Darth Sidious, the two Sith at the time, and with the Sith rule being that there should only be two at a time, a master and an apprentice.
There's no doubt the mysterious warrior was a Sith.
Always two there are. No more, no less. A master and an apprentice.
With both of them dying at the same time, that's pretty bad for their state of things, and it's seemed like it had been implied that there weren't really any Sith until Darth Sidious's return in The Rise of Skywalker. Whether you agree that it should have happened or not, it is canon, and that is what happened. Darth Sidious comes back to life, and, well, you know, all the events of that movie. And Snoke happened, but as it was revealed in Rise of Skywalker, he was a clone of Darth Sidious, more of a failed clone.
My boy, I made Snoke.
And he was killed by Kylo Ren / Ben Solo, who turned to the dark side, but never, fully became a Sith. He was just his own, evil thing. He even said in The Last Jedi that he didn't believe in the Jedi, the Sith, any of it. He wanted the old ways to burn, or however it is that he phrased it. So all of that seems to indicate that, well, there weren't really any Sith, and they've kind of, died off, at least from what we know so far. But that doesn't have to be the case. The sequel movies, as flawed as it made them, weren't very specific on a lot of things. We know that the First Order existed, and that there was a resistance against them, and they blew up the New Republic, but all of that vagueness on where they came from, what the resistance was, a lot of vagueness that left room for interpretation in the comics and the books and stuff, and gaps to fill in, since none of the movies set up Palpatine's return until suddenly the opening crawl of The Rise of Skywalker said, "The dead speak," which is probably one of the dumbest things ever written in an opening crawl of a Star Wars ever. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of groundwork to build up the fact that he's been cloned, be prevalent in a lot of the comics and books and TV, and in fact we're already starting to see some of that in The Mandalorian. I'm pretty sure that what Moff Gideon needed Grogu or Baby Yoda's blood for was because of the cloning process. They need some Force-sensitive blood, something like that, to help fuel the Palpatine clones. And in fact, there was some other Easter egg about cloning in Mandalorian Season 2, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. But it seems like it's putting in the groundwork that is what the remnants of the Empire is up to. They are trying to fulfill Palpatine's plan to bring himself back to life. So he's working in the shadows in the background on that planet Exegol that we see in The Rise of Skywalker, with all the Sith loyalists, and where he is building up the armada of ships, the Final Order, all of that stuff is going on in the background of The Mandalorian and its connected shows in that time period. So that, all that being a very long-winded way of saying that this rumor is that there is going to be a new Sith in that time period introduced, that being Darth Talon. Now, when I first saw that name, it didn't mean a thing to me, but if you are a longtime fan of Star Wars stuff and have read some of the comics that came out before Disney bought Star Wars and erased all of the old comics and books from the canon continuity, Darth Talon was a Sith apprentice who lived about 100 years after the events of the original trilogy of movies, and she tried to turn one of Luke Skywalker's descendants, not even like his kid or his grandkid, like 100 years down the line, one of his descendants to the dark side, and wasn't successful with that. So obviously the story here is going to have to change, because in the Mandalorian timeline, Luke Skywalker is still alive, has no descendants yet that we are aware of, and just the post-original trilogy of movies continuity is very different now than what it had been in the books and comics of old before Disney bought Star Wars and had to erase that to make room to do new stuff with what they are making. But Darth Talon was actually considered to be part of the Force Awakens, like way in the early stages of it being developed. There was concept art of her drawn with some mysterious blue alien behind her. I think I read the name of that blue alien in one of the articles, but I don't remember, and we don't know anything about him, so it doesn't really matter. But concept art was drawn for her, and in George Lucas's original plans for the new trilogy that he gave to Disney and then they promptly threw in the trash bucket, Darth Maul would have been the main villain of the sequel trilogy. He would have been the Master Sith, and his apprentice would have been Darth Talon, who acted more as his agent, his assassin, to go out and do his bidding while Darth Maul was scheming in the background. And that kind of lines up with Darth Talon in the comic books. She was not a schemer herself. She was much more a go in and mess up the enemies. Very proficient in lightsaber combat, powerful force wielder who could use force lightning, and I read on Wikipedia, the Star Wars Wikipedia, she had the ability to manipulate animals, like wild beasts, to fight for her in combat, which is an interesting power that we haven't seen on screen yet. So she could be a lot of fun, and possible ways that she could be introduced into the Mandalorian timeline is perhaps she lived or grew up or somehow found her way to the planet of Exegol, where Darth Sidious's failed clone is building power and scheming in the background, and with the failure of Moff Gideon to acquire Grogu for whatever purposes he's needed, Darth Talon is sent out to acquire the asset, putting her into direct conflict with the Mandalorian, and probably Ahsoka along the way. I mean, there's a lot of other possible ways that she could be included, or she could not be included at all, and this is just a dud of a rumor. But it's fun to think about where some of the mass of Star Wars stuff that we are getting in the future is going. And a new Sith on screen will always be lots of fun. All of this was just me word vomiting and theorizing and thinking a little bit about this theory, but let me know in the comments down below what you think of it. Would you be interested in seeing that? How do you think a fight between her and the Mandalorian would turn out, or a fight between her and Ahsoka would turn out? Let me know in the comments. It's just fun to speculate and talk about some Star Wars things, so that's what I wanted to do. But yeah, that's all I got right now. Have a good week.